wild leg, I guess they figured they knew they couldn't use it.
So they're only meter reasons too.
Right. So we'd have to get another wire up that, and then change the transformers they have.
Turn the wild leg over.
Well, then they only have single phase.
Those two transformers.
There's three. One, it's a delta.
So when you go across your two 110 circuits, what do you get?
240 or 250.
So I mean, what if we change this just converted it to single phase 240 volt service? What are we're going to serve these? Just
well, I don't know what else.
Those four.
They've got
Those
three
four
phase.
at the moment.
and I believe we're serving on a single phase.
This one's using, it looks like three phase, and it goes over to this other side.
In the auto shop.
Yeah, and then it goes to their air compressor.
Is your air compressor three phase?
But I think it's only single phase stuff, but they got three fuses. So,
well, ultimately, we just don't want to do four. We're getting orders left and right. So we want to get it fixed.
Want to try to get to the 8 if we can.
What we talked about originally is get these going.
Right.
And then if you got leases or contracts for more, we're going to have to upgrade the service.
Right. Well, that's where we're at.
Well, that's a good problem to have.
No doubt.
That's a
No
normal problem to
doubt.
have.
That's exactly where we're at.
Which means you probably got to do a service upgrade.
And what does that entail?
Well, you got to get. Well, you replace this equipment right here. And it's not cheap. We have to contact Excel Energy.
Yeah, all this stuff underground.
Basically, we draw up a new service, we present it to Excel, and then they have to modify their transformers on the pole, and you have to bring in a new service from outside.
And
New
how
wires
much?
from outside.
And what time frame is that, and how much approximately?
How many? What are we looking at?
Probably a good week's worth of work for me.
All right.
When are you supposed to get these things up and running?
Well, we want these up and running yesterday,
ASAP, yeah.
ASAP, the 4. And I think that's the way we go, Nick. I think you're right about that, especially what he's talking. I think we do these 4.
I mean, fuck, we're 6 weeks minimum with Excel.
Yeah.
Minimum, if we're lucky. And that's if I get to.
Is this work you're doing now? It's permitted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't cheat. You can't use that ground for neutral until you do the service.
Yeah, and this is the ground that's screwed to the can. Even this service is getting the ground off of it, and that's a separate service.
Well, eventually, all of this is going to be under our toolers. These guys will be gone here within 60 days.
They'll be what?
They'll be gone. This will all be ours.
So, what's the time frame? Excel is something that's going to happen eventually in
Right.
this building.
We're not really worrying about eventually. We're worrying about right now.
Exactly.
Well, I think you have to get them involved now too to get a neutral.
Well, the problem is we have a high leg in here, and that's 210 volts to ground just on the B phase. So every middle spot, if it's, we can't use it, because if you plug a 110 volt item onto that, it'll burn it up.
Well, let me ask you this. Say we figure out how to get these 4 going.
Right.
That's what we need.
But then you're going to take an interruption in service. I don't know, a couple days.
Now?
No, let me.
If we can get a neutral in here and get, instead of having a 3-phase panel, but I don't know what all is 3-phase and if everyone like that side is using 3-phase, 3 hots.
And how long and then when would that down?
That's where.
Can we do it over the weekend?
Well, the plants, does the weekend matter? You got to keep these guys with their equipment running 24/7, right?
Well, not now. They're empty.
No, but say we figure this out in a couple days, we get these 4 going.
Right.
And then we're going to do the major service upgrade. You got to take all this down to change over, and you're down for a couple days.
Why can't we run it on generators?
You can't. Well, that's where I'm headed. That's where I'm headed. We have to understand that there's got to be some kind of a template.
Yeah, we could do it
I
on.
assume once these guys get in here, you can't cut their power off.
Well, they'd freak out.
They have no lights.
They lose
They'll
their-
be
they
dancing
lose
in the
their grow
streets.
lights, they lose their grow lights.
Right,
You don't want
right.
to be responsible for these guys to lose all their.
No,
products.
no. So we would come in with generators
Okay.
and
Which
keep
is
that going.
fine.
Right.
And we can get
For a
that
couple-
ball rolling. We just need to kind of, the next step would be, first step is figure out the 4. Second step would be come up with a game plan for that service. So when we call Excel, you know, they put that money down for Excel. Excel's refunding, you know, you get 80, probably close to 70 to 80% back.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, if you
That's
show
fine.
me the-
Exactly.
All right. Well, then let's do that.
Well, I'm not sure what that is.
What-
Yeah.
Well, I say let's do it. I mean, I have
Gotta
to show
get
this to
Excel.
Scott, and Scott will have to make a final
Gotta get
decision.
Excel out here.
What happened?
You care if they put another pole?
No. No, as long as it doesn't interfere with the expansion.
This one's not $2,000, but instead of having 2 days downtime, 3 days, you put another pole. So they keep that existing pole power still here. They set up their new pole. Put all
That would even be
transformer,
better, sure.
And then they snap those fuckers, and it's about 3 hours.
And then we
4
can
hours.
take down the second pole.
And then second pole can come down.
All right, deal.
Yep. Or it can just stay because you can.
Or whatever.
It has to be within like 6 feet.
This service, which service that crap?
You can lift that up.
So you can put it here, or here, and then you're talking down for 4 hours.
Well, I'll have Scott make that decision because I can't call that. But we'll have to make that decision today, though.
No, because
Oh.
I mean this is a long process. So the goal is just to get these 4 up
Right.
now.
Right.
With what we've got.
Right.
This is single phase. And, but there was a one on the other side of the wall, and it looked like it was single phase.
There's a concern. See, what we'd like to do is just convert this 3-phase service with this wild egg just to a single-phase service. That would be our temporary fix.
Okay.
There's 3-phase breakers here.
Yeah.
So to make sure that that 3-phase service is being used, once your building's occupied, like later on today, turn all those off and see if a tenant comes running and says, "What the hell? This doesn't," you know.
All right, cool.
Before we say we want to convert it, let's make sure we're not messing with a tenant or somebody around in the building.
We have to see
That has
what.
There's only 2 other people here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll
That's a single phase panel on the other side, which that one is going to. Because that's just a little GE little 8-circuit panel.
So have you had any contact with Excel Energy yet?
No.
So, what's our steps, guys, in a Reader's Digest version? Explain it to me like I'm a two-year-old because
Well,
I'm only actually 1 and a
I'm
half.
still thinking this through how we do it as quick as possible.
I would definitely start with asking XL Energy
Yeah, we got to call Excel.
if we can change this hot leg to a neutral, and then this would be a single-phase service instead of a 3-phase. And
What does that entail from
well, what that would do is, and then we can use, instead of, you don't have 3 hots, you have 2 hots.
Right.
That's single phase, but 220, you still have 220. And that would feed those units, but we have to make sure that anything else in here, if it's 3-phase, then we'd be screwed. We'd have to make it 3-phase again unless they change their equipment to single phase.
See,
Which
Excel,
ain't happening.
no, we turn them off and see what happens. My concern is Excel, they don't move fast.
They don't move fast.
That's the thing. We're going to have to,
So we'll be stuck on 4 pods until they move.
well, I'm trying to figure out how you're going to get 4 pods working.
Oh, is that right?
Because we don't have a,
Now, we need 4
We got-
2-pole 60s or 70s, whatever.
how you get, can you hook those up now with your current ground neutral
Well, have
configuration?
no neutral. They're getting the neutral off this ground right here, which isn't legal. I don't know how they got away with that.
As you got an inspector coming out to look at this, right?
So we have a neutral per se, but it's not legal.
It's
Right.
not the neutral is supposed to come off the pole,
Off the
Uh-huh.
pole, and
not, not
when
here.
you have this, there's only 3 wires in this big pipe right here,
Right?
and there's supposed to be 4.
And one of them is supposed to be a neutral.
Yeah, this is a hot, and they're getting their neutral off this ground lug right here.
Uh-huh.
And so that's making like all the 110 volt and the lights work. But
That's
this side is, well, this is the panel that actually these lights are on.
right.
So this is single phase, and that makes that okay. But this service is feeding your offices probably, and these
Right.
lights and all the 110 volt outlets.
Right.
And this service here, I know for sure that this one is going all the way over into this box. And then
That's not even working.
it goes through the wall, and then you can come over here and see it's coming.
Oh,
that pipe right there
okay.
that feeds this little 8-circuit panel.
Now, does that need three phase or?
This is only a single phase.
Okay.
So,
And everything is running back here off of that.
yeah, and I don't want to have to look all the way up.
Well, look. Let's
If
look.
there's any other panel.
Let's look.
How you doing? Hey, where's your 17 any other freight trucks? Is that the only one back there? I don't see any other. Thank you. That's their only panel right there. That's single phase. But I think it's coming off of that 3-phase side.
Okay.
3 2-pole breakers right there. So that's a 6. So it's
And what is this right here?
not being used.
Not being used.
And here's the transfer.
So what's the viability of pulling in the neutral wire off of the?
Well, it should be there, that messenger,
Yeah, but where does that go?
but it's only tied. It looks like it's only tied into the single phase. The smaller weatherhead there.
Is it? Oh, is that what's going on?
Well, it looks now it's just dropping off of the 3-phase one and going to the single phase paneling and not going down both. It should have
Well,
had one go down both.
So what would prevent you from running another wire up that weatherhead? Is that something that?
Well, that wire in there is only, I think that's only rated for 200 amps. So that's in that 2.5-inch conduit. I think those are number 4-aught. Or
What's our service on?
600 amps here, I
we
think.
were calling for a 225, and so that would mean you would have to have 250 MCM. They changed the wording or the letters now, but it's
What size wire did you say that is going down the weatherhead?
I think it's only number 4-aught. So 4-aught.
Well,
It
aught
could
doesn't need to be.
3-aught. If it's 3-aught, it's good, and it's copper. It's good for a little. It might only. Be
So, but you
2-aught.
guys are prohibited from jumping on that pole, I guess. Is
No,
what it
we're
sounds
allowed
like.
to work this.
Yeah,
if
we
he's
can
got
work
the
that, I
neutral
think.
right there, if the neutral's there, we're legally allowed to connect to it.
But it's hot, and I'd have to get another wire down that hot pole. I couldn't shut it off unless XL can cut those loose.
Well, you can have XL. I wouldn't work it hot because these
Yeah.
wires are old or cloth. You-
No.
Exactly. I wouldn't want it. I'd have
We don't want to be on 9 News, fellas.
Well, you don't want your wife to be on that news.
Well, that's even worse. All right, well. So there may be a glimmer of hope is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to do this. Once we get XL involved,
XL has to be
With
involved.
Excel, yeah, they will. But the problem with Excel is, in my experience, is they move awfully slow, and if you change shit on them throughout that process, they move slow.
well, and I don't want them
But
to
this
see
side
the
only
configuration
seems to
and
be
shut you down.
single
They could
phase.
come out
Mike.
here and say, what
That
the-
panel in there is only a single phase panel. It's an 8-circuit GE.
So did we
panel
clean
like
it up
that.
first before we call him? Did we clean up all that mess up? Because it looks like it's all Mickey Mouse in there.
It is.
It is.
So none of this is past electrical muster.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they-
I don't know how it's how you don't
You
even know
try
how
to
we're
build it,
operating.
Put a 225 amp
Basically,
3-phase
yeah.
panel on it. we'd be screwed.
So this building is in jeopardy of being shut down as is if we don't do our thing correctly.
I really think to do this right, you get Excel out here and you get the inspector out here. You know, and I'll be